Hi everyone, Indez here. With the challenge dungeon being added in this major patch, well, now we actually have a challenge inside the game that it made me go to find out what is the highest DPS dungeon, because I felt like as a bard, like I was not doing enough damage. I mean, I was getting pretty much sometimes scared by like, all these crusaders doing this insane amount of damage, so I don't want to fall behind. So I did the testing and we found out what is the highest current damage build for Barbarian. It is Ulta Breaker, and it is a mix of Lace Breaker with the Ulta build. In the past, Mobby Lux did something similar to it, so let me show just an example of how this is gonna work. We're gonna go and we're gonna have the rat, the chains, we're gonna buff up, we're gonna initiate with the Sunder, and then we pretty much just gonna spam our hammer. So we go, we jump, then we just pretty much gonna keep spamming the hammer. It is so much more comfortable right now. It is so much better than it used to be. So right now, like, we are having like spikes of like 4, 5, 6 million, but then we maintain a consistent damage between like 2.5, 3 million, something like that. I feel like it is way better than the results that I was having with the Lace Breaker, which was like, I don't know, 2 million, something like that. So let's go into the skills. We are talking about the Wrath of the Berserk. This is the one that's gonna trigger the Berg Breaker. Then we have the Chains that is gonna pull all the mobs, but also is gonna give us a damage buff. We have the Ulta build because, you know, the Ulta damage is gonna, you know how it is. And we are using the Sunder that is gonna boost your party damage by 30%. This is one of the main reasons why we bring in Barb into the party. If you're not bringing the Sunder in this challenge dungeons, I feel like you're doing a disservice, because a lot of builds, they have Armor Breaker, but they don't have the Sunder ability. So if you're a Bard running dungeons, especially the challenge ones, bring the Sunder because it's gonna be super good for your party. Now we're gonna go into the answers. We are of course gonna go with a Crowbask. This one is gonna increase your critical hit chance by 20%, and you're gonna see why the crit later on in the video, why it's so important. We're gonna go and I'm gonna teach you how to min-max all your DPS gains on your character. Then we have Shackle Fate. This is the one that's gonna summon the spear, just keep dragging them. Now we have the Nature's Temper. So the Nature Temper, whenever you attack, is gonna boost your primary attack damage and it's gonna hit you. So whenever it hits you, it's gonna pretty much proc the Berg Breaker, which is like these it's like a damage around you, like a retaliation damage, and also is gonna stack your Ardent Favor to give your last rate attack speed more 45% attack speed. It is crazy. These shoulders with the Ardent Favor and the Berg Breaker, it is a massive combo. I love it. So now here you have two choices when it comes to the Trending Bite. To be honest, you can go with this one that is gonna add a bleed, or you can change to go with the Stonefall if you want a bit more damage into your Flicker Tone, which pretty much you can actually go and change it out. Then we have here the Buried Talons, which are the pants that whenever you're gonna trigger the chains is gonna give you a 20% damage boost. And of course, last but not least, we have the Flicker Tone. That is the one that whenever it's fully charged is gonna drop a big bonk in on the floor and do a lot of damage. So I really like this build. I think this build, it is doing a lot of damage and I'm really happy with it. Then for the set items, we're gonna go with 4 pieces Grace and the 4 pieces Vitus. I just want to have here in mind that if you are lacking crit hit chance, you may go and want to change to, for example, the 4 pieces Banquets, which is going to increase your damage with the 2 pieces, and it's going to increase your overall critical hit chance by like 20% or something like that. So that's also pretty good, but we don't need it because I'm going to teach you how can you actually go and min-max your substats. If your gear it is not level 30, well, you cannot really go and use like the new enchant feature that we have here on the blacksmith. This is a very late game feature that has been added. So I see a lot of people that they are just trying to push one piece to rank 30, but that's not how it works. You need all the pieces at rank 30 to actually make this work. So then you go here to the blacksmith, you go to service, and here on the side you see this enchant. So the enchant can go in the, whenever you enchant, you can actually reroll one of your stats. So here on this helmet I didn't have any good piece, any good stat, but I thought like primary attack and skill damage was pretty okay. So I spent some flowing shards, some dust, and some gold. I rerolled it and I got 2%. Well, you can get, you know, from 2% to 4%. I will take the 2% because in the future I may get like a better piece. This is actually not the best one. But let's talk about substats. The substats that you actually want to go and have on your gear to just like mid-max the damage output will always be critical hit chance as the primary one, critical hit damage, and then attack speed. If you have items looking like these are pretty much best in slot PvE damage items. And if you see, whenever I have two substats, I usually go with critical hit chance, critical hit damage. This one has critical hit damage, critical chance, attack speed, and then we are using here a Vanguard. A special one is gonna give like a pretty much like a armor breaker. But when it comes to your chest piece and your pants, you want to go and you want to get at least the beneficial effect duration because it's gonna extend your buffs. So I hope this makes sense. Critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and attack speed and beneficial effects are the ones that you want to go with. You can also get beneficial effects here on your belt, on your boots, and then you have here on the neck, gloves, and also on your rings. You want to try to go and get skill cooldown reduction. This is very, very important. So you have the maximum, pretty much like refresh rate on your spells. The maximum that you can get skill cooldown reduction is 30% cap. Only 30%. You cannot get more than that. But the easiest way that you can actually get in your like most essential skills, this 30% is going with things like with the Awaken slots. So Awaken slots right now, they can be awakened at rank 4. We came from rank 10 to rank 5 and now rank 4. This is insane. This is very good. If you're free to play or low spender, you should start awakening your slots. If you guys don't know what it is, pretty much it's like whenever you get your gem in this slot to at least rank 4, then you're gonna be able to go here also to the West Marsh, pick with this guy on the shop, and you're gonna be able to go here to the Reforge stones. Here in the bottom you have these Equine Echoes. This used to be a pay-to-win mechanic, but now with 10,000 plat you can actually buy. Yes, it is still 10,000 plat. You will need 80,000 plat to go and awaken all your slots, but this is the best return of investment. It is quite key that you unlock all your slots, and I'm gonna explain you why. Because man, it gives you, look at this, on the core mask, it's gonna give me 10% Wrath of the Berserk cooldown reduced. On the shoulders, more 10% cooldown reduced. And then I have the Ulta Breaker, and I got, again, more 10%. It gives me the maximum skill cooldown reduction of 30%. Not only that, you can also get the Awakens to boost the damage, for example, of my primary attack. So this is a primary build with some ultas in the middle, so I want to boost my primary attack a lot. So 10% here, more 10% here, which gives me an increase, like completely free increase skill, primary skill damage on my last rate is the one that we're using. You can also be lucky, and if you are like a whale, you can go and roll for like the best that you can, but I don't have it, so I just use like the most common charm. It pretty much is how it is. As long as it has your primary attack damage, pretty much you're good to go. I got one with less rate and the Hammer of the Ancient, so I get 2% more here. You can also have, for example, on the Flickerton, if you awaken, you get 10% more damage on your Hammer of the Ancient. And on these two, I only have these. I have the Blood Saturated rank 2 and these in the Rolling Consequence as rank 3, and that's why I can't awaken yet. But in the future, whenever I have it, well, it is gonna be a big upgrade. This gives me the cooldown reduction on the chains, and this one's gonna give me damage increase on the chains, which are not the most required one, because if I turn on like my buffs, if you see here, they will actually be like up all the time. So I really like that, and it is going pretty well for me. So the next thing that if you want to boost your damage, it is to actually pay attention to the familiar that you are using. If you want a PvE pet, well, you should go with the lingering wounds, because lingering wounds, it is an ability that's gonna make just add an armor break on the target. If you're lucky enough, you get one lingering wounds, a legendary one, which is gonna give you like 30%, and then if you boost your insight, it can go like to a crazy amount. I think it's like 37.5. So it is a crazy damage boost that you get for like 3 seconds. But if you're struggling a lot to stay alive inside the challenge dungeon, because they are pretty difficult, I know that, even with combat rating, if your damage output is not high enough, if your party is not good enough, maybe you can actually go and just bring your savior pet. A lot of times I do this just to be a bit more safe, because a lot of people, they have pets with the savior and with the lingering wounds, so you know, or they have the armor break. So with these, sometimes, most of the times, I actually just run with my savior pet and I'm gonna be fine. Another thing that I want to say is, like, when it comes to your normal gems, well, if I go here to the jewelry, it's gonna be easier for you guys to understand what do I do and how do I manage my substats. So the secondaries are really important. For example, here we have armor penetration. All the blue ones are armor penetration, the yellow ones are gonna be the potency, and as you see, I try to run as much potency and armor penetration as I can, because they are gonna be the responsible. If I open here my secondary stats, that armor penetration is gonna increase your critical hit damage to, in my case, to 48%. If I add even higher than this, well, it can go to a maximum of 57%, so I'm lacking 9% here. And when it comes to the potency, well, pretty much it's just gonna increase the duration of your dots and your debuffs on the target. So it's also very important for you to keep up like your armor break, your dots, and all these things. So let's go now and speak about, since we're talking about DPS, the best gems to actually pump up your DPS are gems that pretty much what they do, well, they increase all your DPS. So Morn's Call, the new gem that, you know, pretty much right now at this stage in the time, it is still craftable, but in the future it's going to be only craftable by Turtleic Pearls, at least that's what they say. But it is such a crazy gem. At rank 5, it is increasing my damage from 11 to 22%, and whenever I get the gem powered, I'm gonna get so much more damage out of this gem. This is a crazy gem. If you're not crafting at least at rank 5, man, you're doing yourself a disservice. So please try to get it. I got here more 16 copies to get these to at least rank 8, so I'm very excited for that. This is a crazy gem. Please pull for it. Then we have here Blood-Soaked Jade. Again, increase all damage. Every time that you see a gem that it says increase all damage, pretty much it's gonna be like good for PvE, as long as this doesn't have like a con, like something very weird that it doesn't work. Usually is always good. Now also we have the 10% movement speed, which is pretty much the main reason why you actually use the Blood-Soaked Jade. Fervent Fang, crazy battle pass gem that you get. If you don't get this gem, I feel like once again, unless you are trying to become one of the biggest whales and you're ready to pump like thousands of dollars, please get it. It is incredible. If you're someone that is like free to play or low spender, please try to get it, because you have like these 3 choices. You should 100% get the Fervent Fang. That's why it's in first, right? Grim Rhythm, it is also pretty good, but I feel like it's one tier below. And Turtleic Pearls, well, it's for the people that already have one or the 2-1 build up, or they are just a whale and they're gonna go all in on the 5 stars, but it is not the majority of the case of many of you. So get the battle pass gem. It is really good. The other one, I got very lucky, so well, we got the running consequence. But I will say that if you guys have Turtleic Pearls, let me go here and let me show you what are Turtleic Pearls. Are these ones. if you have 40, you are able to craft any 5-star in the game for free. So your first craft should be the Blood-Soaked Jade to get this 10% damage, 10% movement speed. It is very important because we don't have mounts in this game, so you're gonna run everywhere. Also is increased damage. And the second craft, it is gonna be rolling consequence pretty much until it's like max. Just like try to get it at least until rank 4, so you awaken the gem. It is gonna be very powerful. Then we have here Pain Clasp and Viper's Bite. These are pretty much like a couple. Pain Clasp, once again, is gonna increase all your damage while you have a dot. So why we're using the Viper's Bite? Because it's gonna add a dot instantly. So it adds a dot, the Pain Clasp procs, and we have a damage boost. Also, let's just go here and explain why Running Consequence, it is the best gem in the game together with the Blood-Soaked Jade. It is because it increases your critical hit chance by 18% at rank 3. Like, this actually can get like super crazy. Not only that, whenever you have the buff on you, it's gonna create a lot of explosions that's gonna put the targets burning, and whenever they are burning, you have an increased critical hit chance of 3%. So very good gem. I can't wait to get it to rank 4. Hopefully I'm gonna get it, you know, by Christmas or something like that. Now we have here, for me, it is the best overall. This is he has to be the best gem in the game because it's a 1-star. You can craft it very easily in the beginning of the game and increases all damage, and it also gives you critical hit chance. Don't use this in PvP, but in PvE it is a godly gem. Now the last one, I'm using the Mother's Lament again to give me more critical hit chance. So critical hit chance, it is pretty much the god tier of the substats. We're gonna go and you're gonna understand why I'm using so much. I'm using 2 gems of crit. In the future, maybe I can replace these and maybe like the Viper's Bite, but for now, these are the gems. I only been playing for 8 months, so this is what I have. So let's talk a bit about critical hit chance and why it is important. So I'm getting right now 26% critical hit chance. In general, you want to try to go and min-max your gear so you have at least 20%. So once you get this 26%, then we have the proc of the Running Consequence, then we have the proc also of the Mother's Lament, and we're just gonna boost our crit like really high. So whenever we do, then it starts hitting like a truck. So we have here a boost of 39.5% critical hit damage, and we are doing very good. Going to the runes, there are 3 runes that I want to, maybe 4 that I want to highlight. One, let's start with the cheapest one. It is the Essay. This one increases your movement speed. Well, again, it's not like it's going to increase your DPS by running faster, but running faster is always useful, especially inside the dungeons. We are not using sprint because most of the times you're just going to take a bit more time to actually run into these challenge dungeons. So removing the sprint, it is completely fine. Then we have here, let's go with this one first. See, this one for me, it is a godly golden rune. If you guys don't have it, it is pretty nice. So whenever you kill a mob, it has a chance of exploding and giving 100% of the maximum damage. It is really good to explode like these dungeons packs of mobs. Tier, one of my favorites, is gonna increase your attack speed and also is gonna increase your beneficial effect duration. Beneficial effect duration, if you guys don't know, it means that if you go here to the skill and you have the Wrath of the Berserk, well, it says that it's gonna be for 6 seconds. But if I put my Wrath of the Berserk, you'll understand that no, it's not gonna be for 6 seconds. It's pretty much gonna be for like 9, 10 or 11 seconds. And that's because we are increasing with our reforges, with our runes, and also our gear, our beneficial effect duration. Not only that, whenever you attack, for example, Morn Skull is also gonna give you this buff, which is the Royal Dominion, and this is gonna say that it's gonna stay with you for 6 seconds. But also legendary gem buffs, they get increased and extended with the beneficial effect duration. That's why it's so powerful. So please have this in mind. Now we go again in here. Let's talk about which pretty much for me, I think this is the best rune in the game. I got lucky. It dropped for me. This was an unbound and I could have sold, but I think like for 20,000 plat it was very cheap, so I kept it. And look at this, 4% critical hit chance. Just for this, it makes it like the best rune ever. Then we have the damage by 5% at full life enemies, 4% to elites. So it is a godly rune. Now let's move on to the Paragon. The Paragon that usually I use tends to be this one with the uncanny, unseen dynamism, then with gifted, the fury, and the superiority. This is gonna increase once again my critical hit chance. I try to buff up to get almost 100% critical hit chance. That's the goal, because whenever we go above pretty much 17%, if you go here to your Warband, I will recommend you nowadays, because like challenge dungeons are very hard to go with your attacker room, and inside your attacker room you will figure it out that if you are lucky and your Warband has been farming purge, you will have maybe some remnants that's gonna be insanely like godly. Look at this. Attacker, increase critical hit chance by 3% when you are above 70%, so 3% more critical hits chance. Then you have this one, increase all damage done by 3% while no enemies are around. This one is not like perfect for me because I'm a barbarian, but these last ones are insane. Increase all damage dealt by 6%, but also increase all damage taken by 3%. Hey, it is a trade-off. You do 6% more damage and you take 3% more damage, which is fine. Now we have here, this is the godly one, the one that I wanted to show you. It is the manifested carnage. Increase the critical hit damage by 10% while your critical hit chance is greater than 70%. So if you see with all these multipliers, also with me using the Paragon, with me using Rolling Consequences, Mother's Lament, I will get way above the 70%. So that's why we are rocking this, and it is working pretty nice. So let's go here and talk a bit about the Reforge Sets. My Reforge Sets, I have what I call like a global Reforge set that it kind of works for everything, almost every class, because like I'm not a whale, so I cannot like go like very deep. So I have one for PvE, I have another for PvP, right? So for the PvE, I go with the primary attack damage, all skill damage, critical hit damage, duration, like this duration of beneficial effects, it should be 100% in all of your Reforgers. So if you see here, I got pretty much almost everything the same. That one was still in PvE, in PvP, but you know, they are all the same. They work pretty much with almost every class, and I like it this way. But if you just play Barbarian, there is other Reforgers. I also got like a very in-depth guide of many other ones that you guys can go with. So just have in mind, depending on your class, if you're maining something, maybe there are like different Reforgers that's gonna be best for you. Now here, when it comes to the cursed ones, I mean, these I don't really put a lot of effort, except if it is gonna be for the PvP one. Usually I try to go with the 6-piece nettle and a 2-piece lash for PvP, but if not, I'm just gonna show you here a few different ones that you guys should go with. So lashed, it is really strong on this build. Whenever you use the primary attack, it's gonna like do like some tentacles, is gonna leave some dot on the target, is really good. This one, the tested, might be the one of the best. It creates a void beneath the target that whenever it causes loss of control, which is like chains, for example, is gonna cause a loss of control. The enemies will take damage every second if they remain on the area, so it's gonna be like a massive void area, and everything that is on top of it is gonna create some damage. You also have this one, when you dealt continuous damage to an enemy, again it's gonna create another void, and it's just gonna do additional damage. And those are pretty much the ones that I will recommend to use as a barb. Well, this was a lot to intake, but this is pretty much how you guys are gonna increase a lot of your damage using this build, tweaking these substats, and hopefully you are able to go and pretty much 10x your damage, so you can go with your party, beat up those challenge dungeons. And with this, I hope you guys like this guide. don't forget to go and put in the comments down below, type cheese with the timestamp, so I know that you guys are the legends that they keep carrying this channel. And with this, I'll see you on the live stream. Thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.